right, good morning. We'll interrupt the program and allow him to add his thoughts and his remarks. I'm Senator Alex Padilla, not just a proud member of the Senate representing the great state of California, but ranking member of the Rules Committee on the Senate side. Proud to be joined by Ranking Member Morelli from the House of Representatives, along with some true champions of democracy. Maya Wiley from the Leadership Conference, Brian Lemick from the Defend the Vote Action Fund, Selena Stewart with the League of Women Voters, and Michael Waldman from the Brennan Center. Now this week, Republicans have finally chosen to put the Save America Act on the floor of the Senate, knowing full well, don't just take my word for it, listen to Senator Thune's remarks in public. They're not sure they have the votes, they don't think they have the votes, but they're gonna put us through this exercise anyway. Let me start by saying the SAVE Act, we're gonna make sure is dead on arrival here in the Senate, not because of the work that we're gonna do this week, but because of the great leadership of the Democratic leader in the Senate, and I'll turn it over to him now. Please welcome Senator Chuck Schumer.
Thank you, Alex. Thank you. I want to thank all of our guests for coming. I know them all, and they're great advocates and great spokespeople for doing what's right in America. I want to thank Alex Padilla. He's the ranking member of our Rules Committee, and he has been such a strong leader on this issue. He feels it, like Joe and I do, passionately, and like all the people here, that this is really one of the most pernicious pieces of legislation that I've ever seen. And they try to disguise it because they know how bad it is. So let me say a few words. Thank you very much. You know, Americans are watching in horror as Donald Trump bumbles this country into war. He's tanking our economy, driving up costs for families. But what are Republicans prioritizing, MAGA Republicans, in the Senate this week? They're conspiring with Donald Trump to undermine democracy and disenfranchise millions of Americans by pushing the SAVE Act. Donald Trump and Senate Republicans know that their numbers, their popularity is sinking badly. They know the American people are souring on their failed agenda. They know that with each passing day, their prospects for November get worse. So what do? Do they change course? Do they try to work with Democrats to lower grocery costs or to stop the Iran war, lower people's energy bills? No. Instead, MAGA Republicans are trying to rig democracy and disenfranchise American citizens. That's what the SAVE Act is all about. Make no mistake about it, and don't let them fool you. You don't hear Donald Trump and Republicans complain that the 2024 election was rigged. But now the main difference is that Donald Trump and Republicans are horribly unpopular, so they suddenly want to change the rules. He admits it. He said the SAVE Act, quote, guarantees the midterms. He tried to fix the elections back in 2021, and he's trying to do it a different way today. Here's what the senator from Utah says, senior senator. Republicans will lose power, likely for a long time, if we don't get the Save America Act passed. Now Republicans keep calling this voter ID. Democrats support common sense voter ID proposals. But the SAVE Act is not a voter ID bill, it is a voter suppression bill. The SAVE Act would make it easier to buy an AR-15 than to register to vote. Republicans won't tell Americans, for example, that the SAVE Act would require states to hand over voter records to be screened through a DHS system rebuilt by Elon Musk's Doge Squad. Republicans won't tell Americans that if you're purged from the rolls through no fault of your own, you may not even know you're purged until you show up to cast your ballot on Election Day. They won't tell you the most common form of ID would no longer be enough to register. A driver's license would no longer be enough. A military ID would no longer be enough. You would need something like a passport, which most Americans don't have, or certified birth certificate, which many Americans can't easily access. And now Donald Trump says he does not even want vote by mail. Tell that to seniors. Tell that to disabled Americans. Tell that to Americans who live in rural communities far from an election office. Put simply, the SAVE Act is designed to make it harder to vote and easier to steal an election. MAGA Republicans would rather take down our democracy than back away from their own ideological policies that have killed jobs, started wars, exploited working people to benefit the ultra-rich. We must fight it, and we will, in every way that we can. Alice, thank you. Good job, thank you. Sorry, busy day. Thank you, everybody. Good to see you. Thank you.
Thank you, Leader Schumer, for your commitment on this, your work on this. My first call from him this morning was at 7:15 a.m. It was up early, as was I, getting ready for this afternoon. As I was saying, and I think you heard a little bit of this from Leader Schumer, why are Republicans bringing this bill up? Why are they bringing it up today knowing they don't have the votes to do this via regular order and not even through this talking filibuster potential? Plain and simple. It's because Donald Trump is telling them to. Donald Trump wants this bill. And Republicans, as they said so many times since last January 20th, even if they privately disagree, will say, okay, and give Donald Trump what he wants. It also serves to distract from the utter failure. It's not just the Trump agenda, it's the Trump agenda facilitated by the Republican majority in Congress agenda that has caused pain for working families across the country. The price of everything is up, from groceries to housing, certainly health care because of their doing, and now energy. Gas prices alone up 25% since the beginning of the president's unauthorized war in Iran. Working families are paying the price for the Trump Republican failed agenda. And they know they will suffer the consequences this November in the midterms as a result. And that's where the SAVE Act comes in. They know that if they implement the SAVE Act, that's their chance of holding on to power at the expense of our fundamental right to vote. The SAVE Act will make it harder, not easier, for eligible Americans to register to vote, to stay registered to vote, or to actually cast their ballot in elections. It's not just Senator Lee and President Trump saying the quiet part out loud. Remember Kristi Noem? She was in Arizona.